Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for a few more people to log in. So we'll just give this about another minute and then get started. All right, I can see a few more people logging in. All right, let's get started, everybody. Hey, good morning and afternoon for a few people, but hey, thanks for joining us today. And welcome to the Retirement REIT. I'm excited to share with you the story of the Retirement REIT, the structure, the strategy, the vision, but maybe more importantly, just kind of whether you're an investor or a broker, advisor, how you can participate in this platform that we're very, very proud of. And what we're calling the Great American Real Estate Roll-Up. And yeah, we're excited to introduce this whole platform to you and all your clients. So here's what I want to do. I want to start by a little bit of background, which ties a little bit to my personal background, but the background kind of sets the stage for what this retirement REIT is all about. And and here it is. I'm very, very blessed. I've been in this business since 1986. So yes, it's the start of my 40th season. And I call it season because I call real estate a sport, but it's my 40th season in the sport. And I got my start way back in 1986 with Pete Marwick, today KPMG. And so I kind of cut my teeth learning real estate as a tax tool and kind of understanding the tax attributes of real estate and how real estate can kind of work on your tax return. Shortly after my run with KPMG, I got involved at the University of Wisconsin, got a master's degree in real estate. And then 1989 was kind of a game changer for me. I got recruited to play for an outstanding real estate team called the Scheidler Group. And for the older people in the audience, you'll recognize the Scheidler Group name, Jay Scheidler, one of the most brilliant real estate minds, maybe ever. But Jay, I joined his team when I was 28 years old, and because I joined his team, I got involved and was lucky to participate in what many would call the modern REIT era from 1991 to 1994, when over 100 real estate legacy companies went public. Okay, that run from 91 to 94. And these were legacy names like Kimco and Zell and Simon and Todman and Scheidler for me. And that little run from 1991 to 94 and everything I learned from Jay Scheidler and other Scheidler partners, names like Mike Brennan and Paul Lambert, kind of set the foundation for, in many ways, what we're doing with the retirement REIT. Because back then, and I was in the REIT industry for 15 years, but back then in the early 90s, we built these companies one partner at a time, not one property at a time. Okay. Think about that. One partner at a time, not one property at a time. And I was very, very lucky to have that little run where I was involved in REIT IPOs, reverse IPOs, taking REITs private, and built several successful companies. I was also very lucky. I was a CEO of a public REIT in the late 90s and kind of learned the game or the sport of real estate, from Jay Scheidler back in the day. And I share that with you only because the best practices that we learned back in the early 90s are some of the best practices that we're deploying now with the retirement REIT. And I just call it the lessons learned. So after about 15 years in the public REIT sector, I went back to the private game. That was in the mid 2000s. And I'd say I went back to Main Street real estate, singles and doubles, kind of boring, but singles and doubles. A lot of the entrepreneurial spirit that we had in the REIT industry in the 90s, I felt kind of went away. Many of the REITs back in the 90s, although they were diversified, Wall Street decided that all the REITs needed to be product specific. And so the diversified REITs started to go away in favor of very product specific REITs. And today there's 14 different categories of REITs when you follow the NAREIT index, and they're all very product specific. They're all about properties, not people, which was unlike how we built those companies back in the day. But anyway, my Main Street game for the majority of the early 2000s was singles and doubles. I started building up my private portfolio again. And then a little bit of a game changer for me, which in some ways is the foundation of the retirement REIT, happened in 2016. And and a group approached me through some relationships, three individuals that were all in their upper 70s. I was about 50 at the time, but they're all in their upper 70s. And they built this industrial park in Minnesota. It was a 1979 development. They put it in a 1979 limited partnership. And those three individuals, one of whom was, and his name was Jim, and that's all I'm going to say. His name was Jim. Jim, unfortunately, was going through some health problems, and they were trying to figure out how they could cash out Jim without triggering a taxable event. And that transaction, I surrounded myself with a lot of smart attorneys, a lot of smart CPAs. We managed to take that LP, that limited partnership, we converted into a trust. We actually used a Delaware trust structure, and we cashed Jim out after we made the contribution to a trust, which was tax deferred for the other two partners. And Jim, Jim at the time, I'll never forget when we were sitting at the table. I knew him. I didn't know him very well, but he said to me, Duane, it's time. It's time. I'm not gonna be here at this time next year. He wanted to cash out, kind of get his real estate holdings into cash before he passed, at least for his personal estate. And so we got that deal done in 2016, and Jim did pass the next year, but my company bought the 1/3 interest that Jim's family owned. And ironically, that trust today still exists today. The other two partners, one of whom has since passed, but we still have that trust today. And that deal in 2016 was the first time in my career that I closed a deal that I would call a real estate planning transaction, like a succession planning transaction. It was kind of new to me, candidly, but had some good attorneys, some good CPAs that kind of guided us through the process. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. I bet there's other partnerships like that are looking for an estate solution. Again, this was 2016. And over the course of the next 18 months, I started using that transaction as a case study in a lot of the presentations I made. And it led to about $50 million of transactions over the next 18 months. And that's a big number, but also a small number, depends how you look at it. But they were all transactions that were estate-driven, succession-driven transactions. And I thought, if I can find $50 million of deals in Minnesota in 18 months, I bet there's a platform to take this concept nationally, where we help families and individuals transition their wealth in a tax efficient manner using very creative structures, trusts for the most part, irrevocable and revocable trusts. And so I began to map out how I could take that structure national. And for the first time, I actually still have the notes, on January 2nd of 2018, for the first time, I wrote down the word retirement REIT. And I thought, what if I could use the REIT format and some of the tax benefits of the REIT structure in a way to help these families transition, much like Jim. And I'll just keep using Jim as my case study, a guy that did pass away a year after we did that deal, but help people like Jim figure out a way to transition their wealth in a tax efficient manner. And so in early 2018, I started to map this whole thing out. And I thought a little bit like Jay Scheidler, and the lesson I learned from Jay back in the early 90s, where Jay would build his companies one partner at a time. Okay. And I thought, if I'm going to roll this concept out nationally, I need some partners. And in the spring of 2018, I approached NEI Global. And I think over my shoulder, you can see the NEI logo. Most people probably recognize that logo. Here's what I'm going to tell you about NEI. I think NEI Global is the most entrepreneurial company in America today. And they were at that time as well. NEI Global is a network of individuals like myself that are very entrepreneurial, very independent, but also have these platforms to help families and individuals manage and lease their real estate. And so in the spring of 2018, I struck a deal with NEI Global to become NEI Legacy, my company. And immediately I woke up the next day with 5,800 partners. NEI today, we have 5,800 professionals, brokers, I call them partners. We have over 300 offices. We have over 1 billion square feet of space that we manage. And by the way, most of that space that we manage, it's for families and individuals, many of whom are candidates for the retirement REIT. But immediately by buying into the NEI network and becoming their partner, I now had a national platform and boots on the ground in almost every major market. And over the 2018, I did that deal. Over the course of 5 years, obviously we had the COVID pause. We also took a pretty strategic pause in 2003, 23, and 24 because the capital markets were out of sync. But we've actually completed almost $500 million of assets under management. Over 300 individuals and families have now participated in this retirement platform using mostly trusts, mostly one-off transactions, mostly single asset transactions, single asset DSTs, we call them. So we have proof of concept. That's my point. We have proof of concept, and we have this awesome network today, as we sit here today, this awesome network through NEI, this awesome network through attorneys and accountants, estate professionals, and people that have helped us out. And now we decided to roll this platform out in a REIT structure. And Legacy Property Trust is the name of it, the Retirement REIT. Although I wrote it down on a piece of paper in 2018, we actually just filed the documents 2 weeks ago. And again, we waited for a lot of different reasons. First of all, we wanted proof of concept with the whole structure that we've been deploying. Number two, the capital markets have not been good for non-traded REITs the last couple of years. They're now, the fourth quarter of 2025 was awesome. So we're now live. And the Retirement REIT is all about you and you being real estate owners. So here's what I want to do. I'm just going to give you 6 or 7 different case studies. These are just brief case studies of how you as an owner can participate in the Retirement REIT and participate with NEI Legacy. And here's some examples. So let's say you're an owner of real estate, you're in multiple partnerships, you have a bunch of LPs, some of your partners want in, some want out. You can sell but not sell out by doing a deal with like NEI Legacy, where we cash out certain partners and some people stay in. So if you're that candidate, sell but not sell out, call NEI Legacy. If you're that group that wants to sell and maybe do a 1031, but you're reluctant because the building that you own or the portfolio you own has created all your wealth, why sell when you can contribute? Okay? Contribute your property to Legacy Property Trust. Keep your tax basis attached to the building that created your wealth. Hey, I do a lot of 1031s, but don't do a 1031. Keep your basis attached to the building that created all your wealth and put that property into our REIT. And in essence, you contribute versus sell. And just call NEI Legacy. We can help you out with that transaction. We have a lot of clients that say, hey, Duane, I would sell, but if I sell my property, my entire property management division gets laid off. I lose a lot of employees, and I don't want my employees to, lose their job. Again, call NEI Legacy. Most of the contributors in our program retain the property management agreement. Okay. And I know that's a big deal, but we love that because we want our contributors to be partners. So if you're worried about selling and your employees losing a job, call NEI Legacy. Maybe you're that family that, and we have a deal going right now, about a $30 million transaction with a family that has kids and grandkids. Some of the kids are active, some of them are not active. And they've decided, and this is them calling me, Duane, we want to start the process of converting our bricks to shares and then our shares to our heirs. Okay, bricks to shares, shares to heirs. If you're that family, call NEI Legacy. We have a solution for you. Um, Diversified portfolios. Here's one thing. Back in the 90s, when we took these REITs public, it was okay to be a diversified REIT, meaning that you had multiple product type categories in your REIT. And then somewhere along the way in the late 90s, Wall Street decided that every REIT needed to own only one asset class. And that's kind of the case today. So if you're the family that owns a diversified portfolio, I'm actually that family. I have everything from mini storage to retail to office to land to industrial. There's probably not one REIT in America that would buy Duane Lund's portfolio. And if you're that family, you're diversified, call NEI Legacy because our platform is for diversified portfolio families. We love it. We love the fact that we have a diversified asset class. Um, and maybe you're someone, and we got a couple clients like this that you're somewhat new to the industry and you want to be in business, for yourself, but not by yourself. Okay, in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Give NEI Legacy a call. We've helped younger groups, build their portfolios with our platform at NEI Legacy, now the REIT, so we can help you expand your business if you want to partner. And we're looking for partners. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you this: 70% of my clients today, they're like Jim. And again, Jim is the individual that passed away, the deal I did in 2016. Most of my clients, I would say 70% of the clients that are coming into NEI Legacy, they're much like me. I'm a baby boomer, but they're kind of like Jim. They've had an awesome career and they've just decided it's time. It's time. And we've heard this from a lot of people. We actually have it on our whiteboard at our office. It's time. We've all reached that point where it's time to travel. Maybe it's time to golf. It's time to spend time with family. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, it's time to deal with our health. And most of the clients participating at NEI Legacy today, and I think most of the clients that are going to participate in this trust, they're going to be like Jim. It's just time to retire. And we're the platform for that. We're surrounded by, some of the most brilliant legal and accounting and estate planning minds that we have in this company. And we can help you and your family retire in a tax efficient manner. Much like Jim, much like Jim. And many of you have heard me speak before. If you haven't heard me speak before, one of my lines, which I do say when I'm talking to individuals about estate planning, and it's kind of sad, but it's actually true. Most real estate owners retire 5 years after they die. Okay? Think about that. Most real estate owners retire 5 years after they die. My guess is many of you know people like that. I'm actually involved in two different estates where the patriarch has passed away. And unfortunately for both of them, they've yet to retire because of just dealing with the dynamics of their real estate portfolio after they pass away. That's what the retirement REIT is all about. It's about helping people like me and people like you retire from real estate in a tax efficient manner long before we all do pass. So think about that if you're an owner. Those are different ways to get involved in our program. Here's what I'm going to end on, because I know some of you in the audience are maybe you're an investor, maybe you're a broker, maybe you're an advisor, maybe you're not a real estate owner, I guess is my point. There's multiple ways to participate in this platform. Obviously, if you're a broker, an advisor, bring your clients to Legacy Property Trust. Bring them to the Retirement REIT. We can help you and your clients make some money and retire in a tax efficient manner. If you're an investor, you can get involved in this platform. There's multiple ways to invest cash into legacy property trust. And here's what I'll leave you with if you're an investor. Every building in America has a price. Okay, every building in America has a price, but every building in America also has a tax basis. Okay, think about that. Every building has a tax basis. And I'm just telling you, as an ex-CPA, tax basis matters. And it really matters when you become a baby boomer or someone like me that's looking at the back end of his or her career. And the thing about tax basis in America, it's very, very fragmented. Okay. It's not sector specific. It's not geographically focused. And tax basis is not controlled by any one institution. It's probably the most fragmented. It's not really an asset class, but I call it an asset class. It's the most fragmented asset class in America today. And the consolidation of tax basis, okay, and real estate tax basis, the consolidation of that basis, to me, it's a Google opportunity. However you look at it, it's a Google opportunity. So get involved in this company. You want to put money in this company because the consolidation of tax basis in America, and to my knowledge, call me if you think you're different, I think we're the only company in America doing it. Okay, where we're inviting families and individuals that own highly depreciated real estate to participate in this roll-up play. And I got to tell you, that's what the retirement REIT is all about. We also call it the People's REIT because it is the People's REIT. It's people first, property second, but it's also your REIT. It's your REIT. Take advantage of this platform we have. Take advantage of our network. It's a whiteboard REIT. You can come in. You don't have to be in the umbrella partnership that most REITs force you to be in. We have multiple partnerships in our REIT. We have a Florida-based UPREIT that is only for Florida properties. And we can put you in what's called a down REIT, where your properties are in a separate partnership, but you get to participate in this roll-up. So I mean, I'm excited about it. I've been doing this for 40 years. It's an awesome platform. We already have proof of concept with what we've already pulled off at NEI Legacy. So it's wealth care for your legacy wealth, real estate assets and your regular real estate wealth. And hey, we want you to participate. So become our partner and get involved in it. And just, we're not going to do a Q&A on this call, but know that you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my team. We're happy to answer questions. And I've been cheating a little bit. I'm actually watching the Canadian hockey team as I'm making this presentation. They're losing right now. But here's what I will say. I'm going to end with this. I'm just going to make this up a little bit. I'm a hockey guy. I grew up in Wisconsin. Back in the 70s, Badger Bob Johnson, probably one of the most decorated collegiate hockey coaches ever at the University of Wisconsin. Badger Bob would wake up every day in the early 70s and he would say, "Today is a great day to play hockey. Here's what I'm going to leave you with today. Today is a great day to play real estate." So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. And hey, we look forward to having you as a partner in the Retirement REIT. Have a great day.